Good morning, guys. Something a bit different this morning. We're going over to the carport and I have to build an emergency shower or a makeshift shower. G'day guys, it's Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. I like to keep my channel a bit different. I like to give you a bit of variety and keep you all amused, regardless of the fact that YouTube tends to reward content creators that find their niche and stick to it. I like to mix it up a little bit. That way, if you don't like a video, you might like the next one. Although my niche still is recycling and using everything that I can to save stuff going to landfill and repurposing things, as well as fixing things. But we have some bathroom renovations happening shortly, and we're going to be out without a shower for a couple of weeks, which wouldn't be good if we didn't shower for a couple of weeks. So I'm going to rig up something in the carport. I'm not totally sure how it's going to go yet. Let's have a look. In fact, before we look at that, let's have a look at our bathroom, how it is now. Now, excuse the echoey noise from inside. This certainly isn't a home renovation show, but we bought this house about 5 years ago and it was unlivable, and we renovated ourselves. Kristen and I did most of the work ourselves, and the bathroom was always a 5-year plan. So it's pretty well just been neatened up. The shower's original. The house was built in 1969, so they're quite retro tiles. The shower base was absolutely disgusting, and Kristen actually painted that with a special paint. It's worked quite well, but it's time to upgrade. The shower doors aren't too flash. The vinyl we put on the floor was the cheapest we could find at that time. We didn't do any tiling. The bath is original, and it was pink. And again, Kristen used some special enamel paint to paint it, which worked quite well. However, it hasn't lasted, and it's actually, it didn't quite bond to the enamel properly. It seemed to in the first place, but it shrunk. And so it's now like just a coat of plastic and it's flaking off. Again, the retro late 60s tiles. The mirror cavity thing on the wall is original to the house, so that's quite retro as well. But it painted up quite well. It was presentable. The mirror, it was only a mirror I found in the shop, so it just was a make-do job. We did replace the vanity because the old vanity unit was, well, it matched the bath and it was falling apart. So we're going to get professionals in to redo the whole bathroom. We don't have time to do it. We had our stint at renovating. We enjoyed it, but we've got so much going on now with YouTube. And I believe they're going to tile all the walls. Apparently that's a thing these days. They tile the entire wall. We're going to have tiles on the floor, a new shower, and they're also going to tile the floor in the toilet just around here as well. So that's what we're up to, but we're going to be without a shower for about 2 weeks, so I have to rig up something. So I have a loose plan at the moment. It's very loose. I picked up a pallet recently when we were in Melbourne. It was just at the back of a business where I picked up some soap for the shop, and they were happy to give it to me. And what I thought I might try and do is make a shower cubicle of sorts just in the carport area here. And the reason I've picked this spot, let me stand back a little bit, is that where the dogs are there is the gate. I could actually use that as the entrance, and the rest of the gate can help with a bit of structural integrity for a makeshift wall. I put the pallet on the floor there, and I can access water from in the laundry through the window. And if I tap into the washing machine hoses, we could probably do without the washing machine for 2 weeks because we could easily just do a load at the laundromat. And I could run the hoses through the window so it had hot and cold water. And if I make up a bit of a frame, and I have to use the shower rose from in the actual shower, but I can rig up some plumbing. And the drainage doesn't really matter too much. If it just drained over the concrete, it would naturally flow out under where the pallet is now, which, when it rains, that obviously gets soaking wet anyway. But whether I have some sort of drainage, because there is actually a gully trap just around the corner. I don't want to go to too much trouble because it is only for 2 weeks. I don't think there'll be a problem just letting the water flow across the concrete to the lawn. We'll see how we go. But that's the plan. First of all, obviously, I have to move some stuff and make some room for the pallet to sit there. I did grab some lengths of copper pipe from the last load before I took it down to Melbourne for scrap. So and a tap breech here, so that will probably work quite well as the outlet if the shower rose from inside will screw into that. I don't actually have any taps handy. I should have grabbed a couple out of the brass bin, but worst case we can have it all ready to go, and when the builders first start demolishing our bathroom I can grab some taps out of there and put them into here. Should work fine. Of course I'm going to make sure that I salvage any copper, brass and electrical wiring before it goes in the skip. I wouldn't be the ultimate recycler if I didn't dumpster dive in my own skip, would I? So it's now been a week since I started this project. I've made a bit of room. I've got the pallet in position. I've rounded up some scrap timber. All of this framing timber I got out of a pallet. I got out of a skip a while back. Someone was doing renovations and throwing out some good lengths of timber. I did have to scrape the glue off them, and there was lots of nails, but I've done all that. I'm planning just to put a vertical in each corner of the pallet and then brace it across the top, and a little bit of framework, just the minimum so that it's stable, and I've got something to secure some cladding to. Across the pallet itself I've got some old MDF board that's not much good for anything else. It'll make a good base, and I'm going to cover that with some waterproof fabric just so that the water drains off it okay. And the concrete does slope away from the house here nicely, so I don't think I even need to adjust the height of the pallet. It will naturally drain through that concrete area rather than head back into the stuff here, which I don't want to get wet. So I've also got, there's some waterproof fabric that came from a recent clean out, which we don't have a use for. There's also an old airbed here, which isn't much good. We've tried to sell it and no one's interested, but it will make a great waterproof lining or membrane. So I'll get the framework up first, I'll fill in the floor later, and we'll have to organise some plumbing. I've cut 4 posts for the verticals and the corners, and I've just pre-drilled some holes for the bottom of each one. I think 3 will be enough. The hole is slightly larger than the screw I'm going to use. I've just found a bucket of second-hand ones in the shed, good chance to go through and pull out the longer ones. So they should pull into the pallet nicely. And the length of them isn't critical, they're plenty long enough, and I didn't want to cut these pieces any shorter than I had to. All I did was trim off some dirty ends because I plan to reuse this timber for a bit of a woodshed later on, so it'll have a third life. And now I'm making use of some of these timber slats, these pine slats that came from a bed from our recent storage unit clean out. I knew the timber would be handy for something, so I'm just tying the posts together. I'll go the other direction as well, and I might put a couple sort of halfway or 1/3, 2/3, and that will give me a good framework to screw the cladding to. I'll also do an angle brace across the top just to keep the thing rigid and take out any wobble of it. So we're getting there. The basic frame's complete now. I'm not even going to worry about any angled bracing. It's actually quite rigid. So I've cut a couple of slats here, and I'm just going to position them about 2/3. I'm going to have to work it out with the galvanized iron I've got, or the cladding, which is some of this stuff. It's not actually galvanized, but it's only 1500 long, so I'm going to have to overlap 2 sheets. I've got plenty of sheets of this and I don't want to cut it, so I'll just overlap. So once I work out the heights, I can position those, and on the wall that we're looking at now, on the actual house wall, I'm going to put another one just under the top one on which to mount this. I found another breech, and this one has taps in it. And if I figure off, I realised later that these are actually for basins, so the outlet is next to the taps. Obviously with showers, your outlet is much higher than the taps, but I think that will work fine. We'll be able to reach the taps okay, and the outlet I've got out of our existing shower actually bends upwards, so that will work perfectly fine. It saves me mucking around with extra plumbing fittings. I should be able to attach either end and run some pipes down to the windowsill in there, and I might have to buy a fitting to attach the washing machine hoses. Hopefully I've got something. So that's about it. I've just got to basically finish off a framing. I'm going to tie it back to the fence because obviously I need to have some sort of cladding out here and also something on the gate just for privacy. So I've got some more just old timber slats here, and I'm just going to screw them to the frame like such, and they will actually just sit on the rails of the gate here, and that will be ample. I'll have one in the middle and one at the bottom, and that will be ample to hang up perhaps some of this cloth and give plenty of privacy for the shower. Okay, a quick update, guys. Sorry I'm not giving you building action. I don't have time to set up the camera after all the little jobs. All I've done at this stage is put more of the slats on, allowing for the cladding. On the house side, I'm just going to have some fabric, and I've mounted the bridge there, and I needed some taps, so I pinched the ones off the bath inside. Well, the taps were there, I just needed the handles. Coco's been the overseer for the day, which has been a little annoying because she wants to come in here and help me. So we're getting there. I just need to do the floor next, I think. Okay, so now the floor's in. I've just put that as just some old weathered MDF. It's actually better than, it looks better than what it is. The other side's quite weathered, but it's screwed down fine to the pallet. And then I've just put some beading around the three sides. So now I can put some waterproof fabric across it and lift it up over the beading and just, I don't know, staple it or nail it or something just to hold it in place. So that means water won't flow out these three sides, and it should flow out the front anyway due to the natural fall. So with the cladding, this back wall here and the wall on my side, I'm going to put the corrugated iron, and that can poke down inside the beading so that any water on the walls will run down into the base. It's looking good so far. So it's getting late in the day. I'm starting to run out of light, but I've got the floor all organised, which was the fiddliest part. So I've got beading around there, then some waterproof fabric, and then beading on top of it. So the water, I'm not really worried about water getting onto the timber because it's only a couple of weeks, but I want most of it to, I don't want it to flow back in underneath stuff, which it won't anyway, it's uphill. So I even found a nice mat, so if the water pools in that section, at least her feet will be dry or drier. So it's coming up really well. It shouldn't take long to line at all. I've really just got to do 2 walls in the iron and open out. I think I'll open out the airbed underneath the taps there. The taps are high enough that they can just be above the fabric, so that will work. I have to hook up some plumbing, and really that's all we have to do. And this part, the actual gate and everything here, I'll just put a tarp over it. I've just got a couple of blue tarps. We don't have to worry about water out here, it's really just privacy. It's the following day and I haven't done a lot more, but you can see I've now started to line it with tin. I'm at a little bit of a standstill due to the plumbing, and I was trying to rig up some old copper pipe and fittings, and you can see I've got one piece up there that goes into the window. Unfortunately the hoses from the washing machine don't actually reach much further. There's the washing machine just in there, but they won't reach up high enough, so it means my copper pipe's too short. And I was rummaging around for the right fittings to join this. This is a compression fitting, and to then have a union where I can put the washing machine hoses onto. I didn't have anything. I found sort of a couple that might work, but it was just becoming very time consuming. So what I've done is I've basically left things just as they are for now, and I've got the local plumber who's going to come around and just make up a couple of hoses just so that I can connect that tap breach up with the washing machine hoses. So I've handballed that job to him. I wasn't going to spend any money on this at all, but given that I've got so much to do and I'm going away next week and the builders are starting on Monday, I'm just going to get the plumber to hook up the water, and all I have to do then is put these bits of wood across here to the fence, which I've already got cut, and then put another couple of sheets of tin which I've got ready, and that will pretty well finish it. And then once the plumbing's finished, I'll just hang some waterproof fabric down that wall so that it hangs into the shower base, and that will be it. Other than just I'm going to stand back up in here now, and I'll just put a decent tarp or something over that gate, and we'll make sure it's all nice and secure and private, and it'll be chilly, but otherwise it will be a perfectly usable shower. Okay guys, an update on the shower. Is now Tuesday morning. The buildings have the builders have started. Our bathroom's a mess. This is our new shower. If we open the latch, we can see that it looks like a shower. So it works quite well. We used it last night. It's a little bit chilly outside, but it works very well, really. I'll probably have to raise a platform at the bottom here because it gets a bit wet under the feet. It drains to one side, but I've got this side secured with some zip ties on that old airbed. The tin works really well. I didn't actually bother putting anything on the wall of the house because it doesn't really get that wet. And we've used all recycled materials. There's been no expense at all on parts. I did have the plumber hook things up for me yesterday, and 50 bucks cash, and job's good. Come on, Coco, you're not having a shower. Oh, I should add this zip tie tipping her here is so that we can get our custom made latch. So if we go and have a look in the laundry, which is kind of our change room so that you don't get changed outside, and we've got a bit of a messy system here where the pipe's coming in. We use some old copper pipe. That is a dishwasher hose that the plumber actually picked up from the scrap metal pile at the rubbish tip, so it's a second-hand one. This braided hose is actually one of the ones off from under the vanity in the bathroom, which was removed yesterday, so we've used that, and just a couple of new unions to connect it into the washing machine. So we have hot and cold water, and the added bonus is that with this window wide open, the heat from in this room actually comes out through the shower. So yeah, it's working quite well. Not quite as, it's not luxury, but it's not quite as rough as we expected. It's certainly much better than a bucket under a tree. And here's the current state of the bathroom. It's still technically a bathroom because there's a bath in here. Interestingly, it's a Metters brand. I think they're an Australian made. It's cast iron, but I'm not going to take it to the scrapyard, and we're probably not going to try and rehome it. The builders can deal with that. It's just too heavy, and my shoulders aren't good enough to move a bath around. So they've pretty well gutted the room. They're going to put some cement sheet down on the floor and level it up for tiling, and they've got to reframe. I think they're putting a niche into the shower area, and they've already taken the cornice off. Now all the rest of the plaster will go because we're going to tile all the walls, and I think that will be filled in, and there'll be a new mirrored cavity on that side. So it's all happening. Let's go and have a look at the skip out the front. All our goodies are on the front veranda. We've just unloaded the tiles, and we're going to be reusing that vanity. And I've been pulling lots of useful stuff out of the skip, including offcuts of old hardwood, because if nothing else, they'll be great in the workshop fire. And some of these big lengths of hardwood are way too good to go in the skip. They'll be useful for sure. So the builders are just getting ready for another day in the office, or our bathroom. There's the skip. I'm keeping a good eye on things, but it's pretty much all the old fibrous plaster that's no use at all, and all the broken tiles. So it is definitely rubbish, but I'm keeping a close eye on it. And the builders are local to here. They're down Seymour Way, C&S Carpentry Services. So if you live locally, they're great guys and they're doing a fantastic job. Well guys, we're now 3.5 weeks into our bathroom renovations. It was only going to be a couple of weeks. We've still probably got another week to go. Like all building projects, there's been hold-ups. Here's what the shower's been doing. It's been very successful. We're quite happy with it. Yes, sure, it's a bit chilly out here at nights, but it works quite well. The only modifications I've done is I've just got a couple of hooks here to hang your towel or your t-shirt or something on, dressing gown, but I usually just towel off very quickly and then run into the laundry where the heater's going. The shower itself is great, nice hot water, good water flow. It hasn't splashed on the house very much at all. It's all working very well indeed. I think the fabric I used on the bottom isn't exactly waterproof, or at least water might be getting under it, because the MDF I used is getting a little spongy. It was only supposed to last 2 weeks, and it's lasted 3.5 so far. I did put a board underneath this mat here just to give us a bit more height, so we weren't stepping in water, and it looks like it's gone a bit mouldy under there. Hopefully we don't have to have this much longer. The milk crate just provides somewhere to rest your clothes or something if it's wet. And because, if I just stand in here where Coco is, because it's been winter and rainy, and the rain, particularly if it's windy, the rain's been coming over the top of the door and the plywood on the door has suffered quite a lot. It was only scrap plywood anyway, but it's all splintering and rippling in the water, and it's going to fall apart pretty soon. Hopefully it lasts for another week, and you can see at the top here it's curled over quite a bit. So it was only a temporary measure, and it's lasted very well. Only hopefully a week or a little bit less to go. I'll show you what's happening in the bathroom. But before we do that, let's have a look at the outside framework. You can see how I've just screwed all the tin straight to the frame, and it's worked really well. We're pretty happy with it actually. It's not that much of an inconvenience. More the inconvenience is I can't access the yard through the carport anymore, and it's all getting pretty messy. And as I said, we've had a lot of rain and things have been bunched up here so they don't get wet. And the builder's leaving some materials and things here that I can use. So it's been awkward not being able to access the backyard other than through the house, but hopefully not too long to go. And here's where we're up to in here, and it's going to be very echoey. All the tiling's done. They've got the cabinet in the wall there, all the electrical's been done, and I feel like I'm in an echo chamber. I think the tiles are good. They're like quite a thick tile, and we've used similar floor tiles on the wall. They're the 600, I think they're 600 mil square. They're big tiles. So it's all come up really well, but there's been quite a lot of work going. The plumber had troubles getting the floor level, and then there was, the builder had troubles getting the floor level. Then there was issues with the plumbing, and he's got the niche in the wall there for where the shower's going. So hopefully it all comes back together. Christine's already refilled our cabinet. Hopefully it all comes back together pretty soon, because we're keen to get this finished and not have to worry about locking the dogs out the backyard when the builders are here. So after pretty much a month, we have now finally finished with the emergency shower. It's worked really well. It's held together, although the plywood's getting pretty rough, and it's been a very successful temporary build. I've actually just started to take it apart now because I need to get some stuff through, and I'll dismantle it next chance I get. But it's been exceptionally handy. It was much easier than hiring a shower, which we could have done on a trailer, but then we would have had to park that on the front lawn because we wouldn't be able to get it through here, and that would have been worse going from there into the house. And all we had to do here was come from this door, across this concrete, up the steps onto the deck, and we used the laundry to get changed, and we had a heater going, so it worked out pretty well. We've had some cold rainy nights, but we've managed quite okay with it. Let's go and have a look at the finished bathroom. And let's come into our new bathroom. Again, it's going to be echoey, but how's this looking? So we've reused the vanity, as I mentioned, brand new shower, new mirror cabinet on the wall. We still need an electrician to fit off a light above the mirror, and new bath, all new tiles. Let's step into here. It might not be quite so bad because we've got towels in here, so they absorb a little bit of the echo, as do the curtains. And it's come up really well. I can't hide from you now. We've got a big mirror, and you can probably see I need a shave. It's been quite a while since we've had a bathroom to use properly. Showers in there. So we're really pleased with this. It's come up great. It was always the room that we thought in 5 years' time we'll do it properly, and we've just been here 5 years now. So there's our new shower. No more showering outside in the cold. I'm looking forward to using this. And it's been great to get our laundry back so that we can actually wash clothes here. I did end up swapping hoses every week just so that we could wash here, because the first week we did our washing down the laundromat and it was just a big drag. So there we go. I started this video so long ago I can't remember what the point was. I think it was to show you that you can make an emergency shower or a makeshift shower if you need to, if you've got to do bathroom renovations, if you have a plumbing issue. I made it with absolutely no cost, used pellets, used various materials, tapped into the water, the hot and cold water from the washing machine, and it turned out pretty easy to do, and everyone, even though they were a little bit aghast at the idea of showering in the carport, everyone come to terms with it, and it worked out very well. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.